I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be what to do when a girl you're dating says, I need some time to think about this and how I feel about us. I've got an email here from a viewer, and he says, first off, let me tell you, I came across your book and I read the whole thing the first night. Obviously, by any means, it will not be the last because it sheds insight and some very important information. Now, I had a situation that I hope you can shed some light on because I was relatively the first relationship I felt handled well, and it all blew up. So I'm a rather successful individual. I got a master's degree, I played in the NFL, and I have a lot going for me. I met this girl out at a local hotspot, and even though we were relatively drunk, we hit it off, and she even called me the next day wanting to see what I'm about. Over the course of the next month, we went out sparingly. Every interaction was humor, and she kept on telling me that she liked me, and I always made her laugh. Even more so, the physical part was unbelievable, and she would say how she never had a connection like that with anyone before. I did screw up by getting on the phone with her too much or texting, so minus points for me, but it soon hit a point where she kept on trying to get me to open up because I think she wanted to explore relationship possibilities. But she's always been in a relationship, and she said it was the first time that she was able to go out and have fun with her girls. Naturally, I said, great, do what you want to do. I'm having a blast getting to know you. Then it's like a light switch went off. She kept on nitpicking me, saying I'm never serious, I joke around too much, and I'm not open about my feelings. This naturally led into a lot of pointless arguments, which compiled into a big one where she told me off, and I said where she told me off and said, I need some time to think about if this is what I really want. A week went by, I decided to give it another chance, and things were great. But the one thing that continued to bug me was that there were times when she was weird with her phone. I never was the type that you need to text or call me, but when she responds, I'm always with her. And you have to wonder when she doesn't respond, a night she goes out, etc., like to be, what WTF, what the fuck. Even more so, when her phone is blowing up at 2 a.m., she says it's just her guy friends, so I let this slide for a bit. Then one day, I just said, yeah, I can't wait for our date tonight, but you have to quit acting so shady with your phone. He says, big mistake, shows I'm insecure. I know. Well, it's like a lot of little things over the course of several weeks that you're dating, plus the fact that you're arguing with her. When you argue with a woman, you communicate that you don't understand her and you don't know how to communicate like an adult. And after a while, that starts to ruin the attraction and the fun in the relationship. And the other thing is that it's like you're not going to joke constantly. I mean, sometimes you're going to have fun conversations. Like what I like to say is like 90% of the time you're the charming James Bond, and 10% of the time you kind of say those outrageous things that make women do a double take and like, did he just say what I think he said? Where they're kind of unsure, and you kind of give them that James Bond smirk where you may be joking, you may be serious, and she has to wonder about it, and you say things that are a little outrageous or a little risky. Like if she starts talking about what she's going to do to you on the phone when she sees you next, and you say something and taking it a little bit further, telling her what you're going to do to her, and say, well, why don't you get your little ass over here, and I'll show you how you can sit in my lap and see what pops up. It's like you just take it a little bit further. It's like when she throws those sexual innuendos out there, you arrange a time for the two of you to get together, whether it's either she comes over right away or a little bit later or the next day, whatever it happens to be. But it's like you're not always the jokester. Like you're not going to be joking with her 99% of the time, because then she doesn't ever take you seriously. Then it comes off is that you're actually using humor because you're uncomfortable just being yourself. Because, I mean, how are you when you're with your guy friends? You're not constantly joking around them. There's times where you're going to talk and you're going to talk about your career or what's going on in your life, or you're going to have serious subjects. But you're going to joke around and play around, but it's not going to be all the time. And so a good balance is 90% of the time you're charming James Bond, 10% of the time you're the naughty boy. He says, but I wasn't going to go anywhere near a relationship if she kept acting like this. This blew everything up. We argued for the next day or so. It's like still you're arguing with her, and that's just things spiral out of control, and eventually a woman gets tired of it and tired of the arguing I'm tired of the fact that you don't understand how to communicate with her like an adult, and she's going to get tired of it. He said she needed a few days away. About a week went by, we finally talked, and go figure, she said she had been seeing someone else but wanted to be friends and be civil. So right off the bat, so now this girl is being devious, and she's not being sincere about what's going on. It's like you knew something was up with her phone, but yet the other thing is you weren't really exclusive with her. You were hanging out and hooking up with her, and there's probably 2 or 3 other dudes in the background that she was doing the same thing with. He says, of course, I said I will never be friends. I'm happy to hear that, and I got way too much going on with starting my master's, etc., so I'll see you around. And she's like, we're in different points in our lives. And he says, yeah, I don't go to parties 6 nights a week, and she wanted someone to be more passionate, etc., but just remember that you can call me for anything. Just remember that. In other words, that's all part of, hey, just let's be friend vibe. He says, that pretty much covers the basis of the story. It was just that I was really into her, and the one time I actually didn't show it, it seems like that it all went wrong. No, you were arguing with her consistently. That was communicating that you didn't get it. And there were probably lots of little other things that you were doing to turn her off that ultimately led to her ending the relationship and choosing the other guy that she was hooking up with over you. He says, I really care about the girl, but obviously with this going on now, I have no intention of pursuing her. Any advice or insight would be greatly appreciated. All of the best. Well, I would say that you need to go back. You've already read my book once, and so when you read my book one time, you've got maybe 10% of the information that's in there. And what you really needed to learn was communication skills, which tend to be in the latter part of my book, so you can get her to open up and say things like, what do you mean? Tell me more. Don't leave anything out. And get her to open up to you and get her to talk and communicate. Because it sounds like you were just joking around with her constantly, and it got to the point where she basically felt like you weren't comfortable being yourself because all you had was being a jokester, and that you just really weren't ready to grow up yet. You were very immature. That's the way it comes across, is that you're acting and you're being inauthentic, and then plus the fact that you're arguing with her. Those are all huge things. So I would say you need to learn the material. Plus you need to get out there and date other women, hook up with other women, and get used to communicating to women and talking to them and getting them to open up and tell you what's going on in their life, and just to have them doing 80 to 90% of the talking, or 70 to 80% of the talking, just by simply asking questions and just say, really? Wow. Huh. Tell me more about that. Don't leave anything out. Really? How'd you get into it? Oh my God, what happened next? I mean, those are the kind of things that women say to each other, and that's because women work through their problems when they talk about them. But when you start arguing, what a man's doing when he argues is he's using logic and reason to win the argument. And when you do that with a woman, she's trying to communicate her feelings to you and how you're hurting her, but instead you're arguing with her and you're trying to use logic and reason to why everything's okay and that what you did was appropriate, whatever. And same thing with the texting and stuff initially. You were too easy, you were too available. And it's not that you want to be a cold fish to a girl. The idea is that when she contacts you, you simply arrange the next romantic opportunity to get together for sex to happen. You do that over and over and over again. Love is playful and fun. So you just get together and you have a great time together and do that, as opposed to having a phone ship or arguing with her. And so it's like, as time went by, this girl just basically realized that everything with you seemed like it was going to be drama. And when she's dating other guys that aren't creating all this drama in her life and aren't arguing with her, I mean, it's the obvious choice. She's going to choose them over you. So you just need more practice with this stuff. It's like when you were in the NFL, you remember what it was all about. You're just trying to get a little bit better each day. And so repetition is the mother of skill. Learning the fundamentals. It's like just like learning the playbook or the defensive schemes. It's like you don't read it one time and then say, oh, great, I got the playbook thing handled. It's like you got to read it over and over, and you got to practice it consistently. That's how you get better, and that's how you get to know this stuff inside and out. So if you have a question you want to ask me, or there's a topic you want me to cover in a future video newsletter, go to my website and click the Contact Me tab, which is going to be on the left-hand side of your screen, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max detailing your questions, your situation, your challenges. And you just got to give me several days to get back to you with a response, because I get a lot of email from the internet. And if you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session, and you can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab, which is going to be at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, go to my website, and on the right-hand side, underneath the email sign-up box, will be a box that has a link to the Amazon Kindle download page. Once you get to the download page, if you don't have a Kindle device, on the right-hand side, there's a button you can click and download a free e-reader app for your smartphone, your tablet device, or your computer. And it only takes a few more seconds after that to complete the purchase of my book and be reading it in no time. And I will talk to you soon.